Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remember, blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria. Remember, they will always change the narrative. The government will always try as much as possible to use the conventional media to change the narrative, but that I will not allow. In this platform, we set the record straight and we say it the way it is. Not preaching hate speech, not by talking down to anybody, but setting the record straight and bringing the information to the front burner and letting the world know the exact situation of things. Each time you watch my video, you can equally go to the comment section, put down your comment, say it the way you feel it. It's so welcome. You can criticize if you so desire, but do it constructively so that we can be able to learn from one another. That is why I'm here. And now, I'm going to share with you a very important video. I hope after watching the video from the beginning to the end, you're going to enjoy the video and you continue to stick around and be able to enjoy the rest videos that are going to be coming your way from time to time. Thank you so much for coming. Today, the video I'm going to share with you is a very important video.
It seems, well, the political class, maybe here and there, depending on which side of the divide you choose. The legal, judicial, well, the judicial segment, also maybe depending on which side of the divide you are, but the ones whose voices we've heard have said, no. The CSOs definitely want it signed immediately. Well, the president has spoken. What is his spokesman got to say? Well, that conversation will happen in Abuja. Marpe, good morning.
Good morning, Ayo. Indeed, we're joined here by Mr. Femi Adesina, who's Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, you did say the last time you were here that there was no need to hurry, that whatever was hidden will certainly come to light, and that a pregnant woman doesn't have room to hide. So we've seen finally what has been delivered of this pregnant woman, and it looks like it hasn't gone down well with, you know, a host of people. First and foremost, they wonder why it took so long for the president to reach his decision.
Yeah, thank you. On why it took so long, it's already answered in that communication the president sent to the National Assembly. He said he had to buy opinions from diverse groups, informed opinions from MDAs, from different interest groups, stakeholders within and outside government. So it's something that will naturally take time. And then, why it took so long, there is a window of 30 days for the president to do that. And he did it just within that time.
Why was this shrouded in so much secrecy, though, the president's final decision? Because it was really difficult to eventually know which way the pendulum had swung. Reaching out to the spokespersons, including yourself, didn't yield much fruit, but it eventually leaked that the president had not put had withheld assent on this particular bill.
Yes, you know that at times babel of voices cause confusion, and this was a very, very important piece of legislation, and you needed all the concentration you could get to take the best decision for the country. So the least the president would need during that time was babel of voices that were confusing. He was buying opinions from stakeholders, and he needed to be able to design the opinions they have given him and arrive at an informed position.
The president has always spoken about his desire to leave a legacy of free and fair elections. But every time the Electoral Act has reached his table, there's been one excuse or another why the president has refused to put pen to paper. Do you think that he himself has sufficiently engaged with lawmakers on the sort of bill that he would like to, see passed into law in terms of an electoral act, which he believes will be able to give Nigerians, the kind of legacy which he intends to leave with regards to elections?
Yeah, the fact that he refused to assent to those pieces of legislation could also mean that he believed it was the best way to live a free and fair process. Because signing those laws may end up injuring our democratic process. And he said so in that letter, that it was anti-democratic. It would be anti-democratic to sign it. So,
what was anti-democratic about the bills passed, which we saw that was very contentious between the houses, nearly causing a division? A bill which saw the Senate reverse itself, to grant, it would seem, the desire of Nigerians. That's what they believe they've done. Before it eventually went to the president's table, what was anti-democratic about it?
Well, the president said, particularly on direct primaries, that it was contrary to free will, freedom of expression, which is very important in a democracy. So, all the reasons, economic, political, legal, security, have been advanced in that communication.
Who is free will, if we may ask?
Democracy is about the people. It's about the largest number of people. If you have a small clique wanting something, and that thing was not going to be in the interest of the larger majority, of course, a Democrat like the president will then go for the interest of the larger majority.
Okay, so there have been talks about, I don't know whether you've seen the different reactions that have come up as a result of the president's non-assent. There are those who believe that this is just an attempt to pull a wool over the eyes of Nigerians, that the real bone of contention is not the direct primaries as we have been made to believe, but the transmission of results, which was one of the things that tore the House of Representatives and even the Senate. We saw how contentious that was in the National Assembly. That is the real reason, that is going to hurt the chances of the APC in the 2023 elections, and they believe that that's why the president hasn't put pen to paper.
That would just be a matter of conjecture, because in that communication, read it line by line, word for word, you didn't see anything about electronic transmission of results. Not a single word, not a sentence on that in that communication. So it will only be the conjecture of certain people. The president didn't say that was any reason why he didn't sign. Rather, it was anchored on the mode of primaries.
Well, talking about the president's engagement, the letter did speak of engaging with MDAs. I'm trying to see if I can get the letter itself now. It says, the Right Honourable Speaker may wish to note that the nomination of party candidates solely via direct primaries as envisaged by the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 has serious adverse legal, financial, economic and security consequences which cannot be accommodated at the moment, considering our nation's peculiarities. First, I'd like to know what are some of the serious adverse legal, financial and economic and security consequences which the president is talking about?
They were also explained. Talking of legal first, he said that there will be the chances of series of litigations arising after direct primaries to elect candidates. And if you have that plethora of legal cases, it will distract from the process. And then he talked about economic, the cost to the parties, the cost to INEC itself. There are over 8,890-something words, about 9,000 words. INEC will have to monitor direct primaries in each of those words. the parties will have to fund direct primaries in each of those wards. The president said the cost was going to be too humongous, not only for government, but also for the political parties. And it will be undemocratic in the sense that only the big parties will then be able to do anything. The smaller ones are immediately holding the shorter end of the stick. And for multi-party democracy, that will not be good.
Well, he did say that he had received, excuse me, informed advice from relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of the government. But for a number of people, they believe that the most relevant of all of the parastatals of government, which needed consultation with, was INEC. And we understood that the president did write to INEC.
Sure.
We understand also that INEC wrote back to the president to say that they were okay with the Electoral Act as passed by the National Assembly, and they were good to go.
Well, unless you are privy to the content of INEC's communication with the president, as far as I'm concerned, that is not in the public domain. I'm not saying that that was not what they wrote, but we need to be sure. We need to see that communication.
You are the president's spokesperson.
Which I'm sure you have not seen.
You are the president's spokesperson. I mean, if at the end of the day, the communication to the National Assembly was out even before it was read on the floor of the National Assembly, then we can take it for granted that what we saw in the media about the communication with INEC, we can take it to the bank.
No, let's learn not to take anything for granted, because it depends on who is beating the drum on a particular issue. Well, whoever is beating the drum knows how to manipulate the psyche of the public using the media. So don't take anything for granted until you see in cold print that this is what INEC wrote. I do not say that's not what INEC wrote, but when we see it, we are then sure.
Well,
that's
so far,
INEC's
in the media's engagement, at least we've had calls also to speak with INEC. We've had calls to ask them questions as to what their reservations will be about the bill as it was passed. They haven't quite expressed any. Okay. So if that is the situation, we have to ask which other ministries, departments, and agencies
even if
was the
INEC
president
didn't
taking on board
express any,
in reaching this decision?
INEC would just be one of the stakeholders. There are many stakeholders in this. INEC would just be one of them. So the opinion of INEC or the position of INEC would then not be cast in concrete. It would just be one of the opinions and one of the things the president considered. There were many, many more other stakeholders to also consider their opinions.
Let's quickly flip this now to Lagos, because I understand my colleague Ayo has questions for you.
Thank you, Malkwe. Well, Mr. Adesina, one of the opinions making the rounds, which I'm sure you may be aware of, is that of the governor of Rivers State, who said, and I quote, "Mr. President signed the petroleum industry bill and sent it back for an amendment of the bill. If Mr. President means well for this country, and as he has promised Nigerians that he wants to conduct free and fair elections, then nothing stops Mr. President from assenting to this amendment and then seek an amendment of those clauses that he questioned." What's your take on that?
Well, the opinion of Governor Wike would just be one out of the opinions of 36 state governors. You have been scrolling since yesterday the opinion of Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State. If there is a governor that is very critical of the president, it's Governor Samuel Otom. But on this one, he's commending the president. So, if Governor Wike has one opinion, well, Governor Otom also has another opinion. And also yesterday on your channel here, we saw Governor Kayode Fayemi, who also is supporting the president. Therefore, the opinion of one governor cannot be said to be the opinion. It's just an opinion, and he has a right to it.
But then the issue in contention is that the president signed the petroleum industry bill, then sent an amendment with the response. People expect also, a good number of people said the same thing, even some CSOs said the same thing on this program yesterday, that what if the president signed, then appended another bill to it, asking for those amendments?
Well, it's one of the ways it could have been done. But like they say, there are different ways to kill a snake. And the president has chosen to do it this way. It's not the end of the matter. The National Assembly will look at the matter again, and if necessary, they will consult with the president, they will dialogue. But this is not the end of the matter. The matter will still proceed.
And one of the opinions in public domain, Mr. Adesina, is that this was an opportunity for the president to put up that legacy, at least initiate the process of that legacy that he promised in our electoral system. That this, not signing it, is a major disappointment on the part of many.
No, it depends on who is expressing that opinion of disappointment or otherwise. In terms of the president establishing a legacy, that legacy is established already. It's just a matter of consolidating. Since 2015, you have seen that one election has been better than the other, simply because the president has insisted on being a Democrat. What did we used to see in this country? The party in government won all elections, whether federal or state or legislative or local government, they won all elections. That has not been the situation since 2015, because the president will refuse to tamper with the process. So the legacy is already built. It's just a matter of consolidating it. It will not affect that legacy in one way or the other.
And Mr. Adesina, you also know that due to the electoral system that we have had a situation where voter apathy has consistently and continually declined. So one wonders then how strong the legacy is if voter apathy continues to decline. Voter apathy continues to increase.
It's not peculiar to Nigeria. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. I think it was Chile that held elections recently, and voter apathy was a big issue. There was another country that held election. Voter apathy was a big issue. It's an issue generally in different parts of the world. So it will not be something peculiar to Nigeria. And if there's voter apathy, it is not, you can't source that to the office of the president. It's a general issue that needs to be addressed by the political parties, by maybe our National Orientation Agency. Every agency that can ginger and spur the people must be involved in ensuring that voter apathy gets redressed.
Well, a number of people felt that one of the ways to address voter apathy is to entrench direct participation. We've seen the abuse of how direct primaries have been handled in most political parties. And oftentimes, I'm sure that it would seem that this bill was also a battle of sorts. We cannot ignore that fact. It was a battle of sorts between the governors and the legislators, who seem to have held the short end of the stick for a very long time. Would you say that by this decision, the president has taken the side of the governors?
No, I'll say the president has taken the side of democracy. He has taken the side of democracy. It's not, he is not interested in taking sides in the tussle, as it were, between governors and the legislators. The president has taken the side of democracy, and he has explained it copiously why he would not side. It was anti-democratic, it had security implications, it has legal implications, and all those reasons. I think those reasons are quite genuine.
It's interesting that the president has all of this to say about the process, but you know, a number of people believe that when he was going to be the presidential candidate of the APC, there was a reason why the party opted for direct primaries when he was to emerge. How come is it then that all of a sudden, you know, the entrenchment of direct primaries as the freest way to throw up a candidate is now anti-democratic?
He said it, that it will be anti-democratic to foist it on all political parties. And he emphasized that let parties do as they wish, let them do what they think is in their best interest. So if APC used direct primaries in 2019, that was the choice of the party. But then should it be foisted on other political parties? The answer is no. I think the position of the president now, which is let parties pick whatever suits them, whatever is fine by them, is the most democratic.
Now you say that you say surely this is not the end, but how it's going to end, we are not certain, because what we see now is that in the Senate, this has not gone down well. This has not been received well. They know that they have the powers to override the president's veto. What will happen if that's the decision that they decide to take at the end of the day?
Well, there are provisions, checks and balances in the system. The National Assembly can come up with bills, and if the president withholds assent, that is not the end of it. There can still be dialogue, there can still be procedures. Part of it is collecting signatures. It will be lawful, it will be legal. But then, because majority of those lawmakers are also members of the APC, there is also room for consultation, there's room for dialogue between them and the executive. So all the cards are on the table.
Shouldn't that consultation have happened before the president?
It did. You will recall that the Senate president visited, the Speaker of the House of Representatives visited. Like the president said in the letter, he engaged in consultations with stakeholders. The consultations have just now ended.
That's what we're saying. So assuming, I mean, if we take it for granted that indeed the president did consult. We saw them in at the president's at the villa a few times. We believe that it was over this particular bill. We also saw the governors as well visiting the villa a few times to also raise their reservations about this bill. So it was seen that the president was being lobbied from all angles.
Not the governors, to the best of my recollection.
Oh,
the
yes,
governors,
we saw a few governors.
Well, coming on individual.
Yes, we saw a few governors to
raise issues that concern their state. The governors as a body, I don't recall, met with the president on this matter of Electoral Act.
Perhaps not as a body, but as individuals, we saw the governors in the villa a few times. And
the governors will always come to the
assumptions,
villa.
Yes, I mean, we cannot rule out the fact that we don't know, we're not privy to all the details of their meeting, but we cannot rule out, if we're not privy to the details of the meeting of members of National Assembly and the President, we're not privy to the meetings of the President with the governors as well. We cannot rule out the fact that he must have had conversations with regards to this bill, given how strongly they feel about it. I mean, the only people who have come out so far to commend the President are the governors on this decision. So, if the National Assembly decides that they do not need the president's signature anymore, that they're going to go the full hog and pass the bill as they have the powers to, how will that resound with the executive arm of government?
Well, what I would like to say is whether the governors met the president as a body or not, governors are stakeholders in this issue. And if the president consulted widely, he will consult with the governors. So they didn't have to come as a body. He could always speak with them individually. And I'm sure he spoke with a good number of them. Now, if the National Assembly decides to override the president's non-assent to the bill, it will be part of our laws. But then, don't forget that majority of these lawmakers belong to the governing party, the APC. So it's not going to just be something done with a sledgehammer. There will be further consultations. And at the end of those consultations, I'm sure good sense will prevail on both sides and something acceptable to the larger majority will come out.
Well, we'll certainly wait to see what will happen in the coming days. You've heard Mr. Adesina say that this is not the end of it, that he believes that there will be further consultation because majority of members in the National Assembly are members of the APC. But we wait to see how that eventually pans out in the National Assembly and also in the executive arm of government. But we have to thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning, Mr. Femi Adesina, a special advisor to the President on media and publicity. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. Kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.